Hey guys, I'm Trina and it's time for my May reading wrap up. Guys, I had an incredible reading month this month. I read 12 things and 6 of them were full-length novels, plus the books I read were just amazing, like almost all 4 or 5-star reads. I also want to give a quick shout out to a booktuber that I kind of discovered this month whose videos I am just really enjoying, and that is Megan Precourt. I'll have a link to her channel down below, and she is just so charming and she is always happy. She is so happy. Like, everything she reads is stuff that I read too. So if you like my channel, you should definitely check her channel out. Like always, I'm going to start this wrap up off with looking back at what was on my May TBR and seeing how I did. So I read 6 of the 10, and you might have noticed that one of the books with a big X on it was Slammed by Colleen Hoover, which was my TBR jar pick for May, and I just didn't get to it. But I still read 6 of the 10 books I was hoping to read this month, and I think that's pretty good. With all of that out of the way, let's move into the actual wrap up, and the way I'm going to do it this month is starting with kind of the lower rated books and moving up to my favorite book of the month. Throughout the month of May, I finished up the Sailor Moon manga series by Naoko Takeuchi, and these are the US renewal editions, so there are 12 volumes of the story, and then there are 2 volumes of short stories. I read volumes 9 through 12 plus the 2 short story volumes, and I've already turned in 9 and 10 back to the library because I completely forgot that I like to show them in my wrap-ups. And volumes 9 and 10, which are the ones I don't have with me, each got 3 stars. Volume 11 of the Sailor Moon manga was my lowest rated book of the month because I just felt like the storytelling in this one got a bit sloppy. We were starting a brand new story that was only going to last these last 2 volumes, and not enough time was spent with the characters. A lot of stuff was not fleshed out, and the storytelling, like the panels of the art, started jumping around from scene to scene with no indication that a scene change had occurred, so I just kind of felt it was a bit sloppy and not very cohesive. Volume 12 was the end of the series and I gave it 4 stars. Again, it was a little bit rushed, but I loved seeing how the story came full circle. A lot of things that we knew were going to happen from way early on in the series came to fruition, and we actually got to see those, so it was still just very beautiful ending to this story. The first volume of these short stories I also gave 2 stars because I could have easily skipped these, and the second volume of these short stories I gave a 3-star rating. They weren't necessary, so but one of the stories was actually about Luna, who is one of my favorite characters, and I really loved that she kind of got her own spotlight for a little while, so I did really love that story. But overall, the whole volume, 3 stars for me. Everything else I read this month were actually full-length novels, and they were all rated either 4 or 5 stars. So to start out my group of 4-star books, I've got The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I read this as a buddy read with Nisi from Lit Pixie. The Girl on the Train is an adult mystery, and if anybody compares this book to Gone Girl, don't listen to that. If you go into this story expecting another Gone Girl, you're going to miss the story that actually unfolds. Yes, they're both dark mysteries about a missing person. That's where the similarities end. Since it's a mystery, I think you should probably go into this not knowing very much about it, but if you want a summary, the way that I would pitch this book is our main character is just really down and out on her luck. She's lost her husband, she's lost her job, she's having issues with her roommate, she's become an alcoholic, and the only steady thing in her life is that every day she rides the trains. That's just what she does to pass time. So every day on the train she passes this one house with this beautiful woman that lives there, and she kind of becomes a bit obsessed with this woman. She's never met her, she knows nothing about her life, and then one day that woman goes missing and it's totally without a trace. Nobody has any idea what happened to her. Was she kidnapped? Was she killed? Did she just run away? And our main character, who's been silently watching her this whole time, is actually the only person that might have seen something that could be a big clue in this missing person's case. That is a summary that would have hooked me for this book. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a good, solid mystery. The reason it's not 5 stars is because a lot of the day-to-day action felt very wash, rinse, repeat. The character was kind of going through the same motions from day to day, and also I loved the actual truth behind what happened, but I'm not so sure if I'm a fan of the way it was revealed, like the pacing of it. So that's why it's 4 stars instead of 5, but still a great solid mystery that I really enjoyed. My next 4-star read was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This book is currently everywhere, but if you don't know what it is about, this is a fairy tale retelling of Beauty and the Beast. The premise is that our main character accidentally kills a fairy, and to repay the life that she's taken, she has to give her life to the fairy realm, and while she is there, she discovers kind of this curse that is on the land. I really enjoyed this story, but I wasn't 100% convinced of why some of the things were happening the way that they did. I did do a full book review and discussion of this. The first half is non-spoilery, and then the second half gets into more of a discussion of what actually happened. So if you want to check out more of my thoughts on this book, you can definitely go and watch my full book review. And along with this book, I do want to mention that I got to go to a Sarah J. Maas book signing for this book this month, which that's a big deal to me because I don't go to many signings. This is actually my second signing I've ever been to. I won't get too much into it, but I really wanted to mention that because it was a big bookish thing that happened to me this month that I was really excited about, and I had a great time. My next 4-star read of May was Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rosh, which I read this again as a buddy read with Leia from Hi I Love Books. This is a YA fantasy novel, and in this world the kingdoms are based on the seasons, and the Spring Kingdom has invaded the Winter Kingdom and enslaved that entire race. The Kingdom of Winter has fallen, and this story just follows a few of the last remaining refugees from the Winter Kingdom on their journey to free their people and get their kingdom back. I really liked it, but I just didn't like some of the small aspects to the world, and I guess the big plot twist like way ahead of time. So that's why this is 4 stars instead of 5. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I had no clue what was coming. The main character Mira is really awesome, but like she's got some amazing fighter skills, but she's not perfect. She definitely has flaws. There's a love interest in this book that I just really loved, and also the action scenes in this book were amazing. I loved it. It read like a video game, and then the battle scenes, the way that war happens in this world and the way that magic plays into it, I loved it, and I want more, and I cannot wait for the sequel. Next is a book that I gave 4.5 stars, and that is Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and this was a buddy read that I did with Kayla Rain and Gretchen from Chic Nerd Reads, and all 3 of us did non-spoilery reviews over this book, and we each did a creative video. Gretchen did a Dreamcast video, Kayla did a makeup tutorial, and I did nail art tutorials, so you should definitely check those out. This is an adult sci-fi fantasy book about super villains. Our 2 main characters are college roommates studying medicine, and they decide that they're going to study people that have supernatural powers, and through their studies they end up giving themselves supernatural abilities, and the story actually unfolds from 10 years ago when they were doing these experiments to present day, so 10 years later, when all we know is that now they hate each other. It's just a really fascinating look at what a normal person would do if they suddenly did get superpowers. It's kind of terrifying. I really love this book and the writing. This is my first book I've read by V.E. Schwab, and I definitely want to read the rest of her stuff now. I wanted to before, but this is like the kick in the pants to actually pick her books up. Now moving on to my 5-star books this month. I did give 5 stars to 2 books, and the first of those is The Heir by Kira Cass. I am an unapologetic fangirl of this series. I love it. This is book number 4 in the Selection series, and the original Selection series was about a girl that is drawn from a lottery to go to the castle and win the heart of the prince. It's very Bachelor-esque, where a group of girls was competing for the prince, and this book takes place 20 years later. There's a new ruling family, and their princess is now holding her own selection. So instead of being from the point of view from a contestant, this is from the point of view from the Bachelorette. And I really loved that about it. I thought that that viewpoint viewpoint fit the story a lot better because you really have no idea who our main character is gonna pick, and just hearing her thoughts about how the whole process works and like who she's having feelings for, I felt like that suited it a lot better than the point of view of a contestant. I gave the first 3 selection books 5 stars, but I liked this one a little bit more. There were fewer annoyances. This main character has her own share of flaws and annoying moments, but I found her a lot less annoying than America Singer actually, and like I said, I just loved the viewpoint of it being from her point of view instead of a contestant. So this was a 5-star read for me, and Kiera always manages to somehow make me swoon as well as just tugs at my heartstrings like, ugh. And last but definitely not least, because this is actually my favorite book I read this month, and dare I say, this might be my favorite read of the year so far, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa HEIR. Yes, please give me more. This book is so hyped right now, and I actually went into it not knowing anything about it because that's how I like to approach very hyped books. But if you want a summary, this book is set in the desert, and it is about an empire of the marshals, like the soldiers of the land, and then the scholars, like the artistic people of the land, are enslaved to the marshals. And we follow a main character, Elias, who is in the school training to become a soldier, and our second character, Elia, is actually involved in like this resistance rebellion movement, and she becomes a slave to infiltrate the school and learn their secrets. Meanwhile, the emperor is about to die and has no heir, so there are actually these trials taking place to determine who will be the next emperor, and Elias finds himself competing in the trials. This is a YA high fantasy that deals with a rebellion, and it could have so easily taken the path of being just run-of-the-mill, you've heard this story a million times before, but it did not. It set itself apart, and I just adored it. One of the things I loved the most about this book is that our 2 main characters, they don't even know each other for like half of the book, and they each have their own separate love interest, which I felt like was refreshing. More books like this, please. This is the first book in a series, and it just got greenlit for a sequel. Yes, please, give me all the books. Yes, fangirl forever. Please let me know down below what your best read of May was. Have you read any of these, and how did you feel about them? Look at that, look at that. Crisis averted. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought about them, and let me know what your favorite read of May was. It was such a good month. I just don't even want it to end. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye!